So we're getting now a bit more technical. I mean, I'm one of the engineers at NNN, so that's my passion. Yeah, I'm not an infrastructure expert or anything. We're just like doing, yeah, we just want to improve the product and build it the way on the requirements that we have. So there's definitely things that you can always do better or so on. So just as a disclaimer, so we because I'm gonna tell you now how we solve one of the problems that we're having. And the problem that we had is that people were just able to use static routes more or less. I mean, you had the option to use params, or on the post, you were able to post something on the body, but you were not able to post like data within the route. And we had a lot of requests from the community that exactly needed this feature because they wanted to integrate with another service who was, for example, sending the ID in the route, and there was no option with how you can handle this, right? And this came with a lot of requirements because like we're not building on a green field anymore. It's like yeah, we're working on. We also don't want to break any existing containers or instances. So first of all, we want to support wildcards at any position in a route because we don't know what users need, right? We don't know what they want to send, what like maybe others API needs to send. So it needs to be at the beginning. It can be in the beginning. It can be the only thing, but there also can be static parts within it. And yeah, there's still like static parts needs to work. For example, as we're having like product one, because like some people are already using them and maybe having numbers in there, but at the same time, they want to use a wild or use a wildcard at the same position more or less. That so making it flexible for the future, but maintaining their old webhook that they are already having in use, right? And then we also want to pass them in a cool way to the workflow so that people can easily access them, so that when you're defining the route, you're more or less giving the key, and then our system N8N is parsing or whatever is in there in the route and gives it back to you. And yeah, and also we want to keep the same route stem. The people of you who already built an API know this. So there's like always, for example, if you're working on a user, usually you start with user and this where you create it. And if you edit it, then you're using user/ID, like, I don't know, 50, 10, whatever, and so on. And there's like certain standards more or less that we still wanted to maintain and want to preserve to really give like an API like feature feeling. And there's also some internal stuff that's going on. So yeah, we want to keep N8N scalable. And this meant we can just use the database more or less because as you know, maybe from the scalability talk from Omar already, where you can spin up multiple workers and they are working independently. And the only common ground that they're having is our database, right? And so this was the only possibility that we can use to save any data and make any decisions based on. And yeah, now I want to show you how we've built our new Pokemon trainer app. And I know I'm a developer. I'm still using Postgres. We could also use Airtable, but it's simple. So please, no fears here. And for example, let's start with our Pokemon trainer. So as I already said, like usually you have a stem in an API, which is in this case the trainers. And then you have like an ID, or you could even call it trainer ID or something. And then you could like get his Pokemon, for example, right? This would be one route, or the most basic route, just getting all trainers, right? This like should be able to be called. And as we can see, I want to run it now on test. That we're running get all trainers here. And when we're running it as a test, I'm gonna send it here. It's slow for whatever reason. There we go. We have Ash, Misty, and Brock. So all three trainers that we're having in a database. If we just want to get a specific trainer, now comes our first case where we want to have an ID, right? So we're hitting trainers and then we want to have an ID. Normal, simple get. We have this now, so I don't always have to run the execute. I built this like with activating the node, and then there we go. There's one thing changing, and you might have seen this already when you're using when you're using wildcards. I don't know, maybe I can zoom in. So when you're using wildcards, you see that we have like this ID in here. That's necessary for us because we need it from a technical perspective and technical standpoint. If you want to have this also for your static routes, this would mean that you would need to copy this ID and insert it beforehand. If you need to have exactly the same URL. If you're building your own app and you can define the route, you're free to do whatever you want. So yeah, as we're sending it here, we also want to get the Pokemons of the trainer, right? And here we have it, for example, nested within the query. Like the ID is in the middle of it, and then we want to get the Pokemons. And yeah, I mean, we can just test it. So we see it running and run it here. We want to get the Pokemon of a trainer. And for example, we can get the Pokemon of Ash, which is like ID 1. It's running. There we go. We have Pikachu, level 6, Pokedex ID number 25. So pretty easy there. But like as we know, like our APIs are not just like getting data, it's like also creating and updating data. And for example, we want to create a Pokemon. For example, Nidoran. I don't know, maybe someone's favorite Pokemon. I just chose it like by accident, more or less. Here I have a beautiful list. Okay. Of all the Pokemon that we can choose. So we can also like later on, if we got some time, we can get deeper into this. But here we just want to create one. And so here we're just sending like a post to the normal Pokemon. So it's again, the simple standard one. It's not breaking anything. But then, so we now created number 32 Nidoran. But now we want to capture a Pokemon, right? And we think now Ash is the right guy to capture our Nidoran with like our ID 32. Because like when we are looking at capturing a Pokemon, we see that we have the trainer ID here at the second position and the Pokemon ID at the end with like a capture and the trainers in between. So like a normal API. And we just mimic it here. Like there's the 1 and the 32, and then we're catching it. And when we're getting back, hey, to the Pikachu, now we have a level 1 Nidoran. Level 1 is pretty weak, and you can't do much with a level 1 Nidoran. I mean, even your level 2 Taubsi will probably make you a lot of problems. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna level up our Nidoran. And this is pretty easy as well, because we know the trainer ID, we know the Pokemon's route, we know the Pokemon ID needs to come afterwards, and then as we designed it, we just need to add to the body, we just need to add the level. So what we're doing, we're going into our route, we can add it like our Nidoran, and because we know it's a powerful Nidoran, and yeah, we never let it evolve, so that's why we are now bringing it up to level 55, and then we're seeing, hey, we get back our Nidoran level 55. We can check all our executions as usual in here. Oh, I need to find this. Yes, we want to switch. And here we see, for example, that our level up run, here we're just setting some data, writing it into Postgres. And to see that I'm not lying, I for sure also have my Pokemon database available. So you see all captured Pokemon. These are the trainers, like ID 1 is Ash, ID 2 is Misty. So he has like his Nidoran with like ID 32 in here and level 55. And this is where we have it. And this is now this more or less the simple path, like how you can build like a complete API. When I remember the times where I have been building apps, it was like mainly crudding users or crudding data. What you can also do, oh, that's also what I wanted to show. I mean, for example, if this is not doing the job for you, you can, as easy as that, like, let's just open it again. What we can do always is just like, for example, dropping in another function. Oh, not want to do it here. Want to do it there. For example, and if we need to run some logic or so on, like, I mean, we can always change it and work in it. And this makes it really powerful. I mean, it's like I've built this API faster than I would probably build it in code without like all the setup and so on, because like spinning up an end instance is just like running one Docker container. So that's super, super amazing there. And yeah, I can like get also into some more technical details, how we did it. We unfortunately need to prefix the webhook ID in front of the route to have like an identifier. We can maintain the older behavior because of this, because we're just adding to the route. And now, yes, like our idea now is that we're using the webhook ID in combination with the whole length of the path that you're typing in, and this more or less our identifier, which really like allows us that we can match the route, that we can match exactly the params that you're passing in with the right keys, so that your workflow is starting correctly. As you see here, for example, this middle part is like this long middle part in the middle is just the ID, and then it is like all the easy part that we know. Cool. And just as a last comment, I put now everything into one workflow. As you know, with end-to-end, you're so flexible, you can spread it over multiple workflows. If you want to have like one workflow per action, no problem. You only thing that you should do is like copying the workflow over so it maintains the ID, just as a hint. And otherwise, yeah, the sky's the limit, I would say.